Welcome to James Hates Everything, and today we are once again talking about the Arcade1up Claw Machine. This time we are going to show you several different mods. We are going to opportunities, I should say, mod opportunities, and we're going to do one live right here, an easy one that should be accessible by anyone. It's inexpensive, and if it works out the way I imagine, it'll immediately up the look of the game and the playability. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But before we do, let's say hello to everybody who has dropped by, shall we? First up, we have Chris C, who says his claw machine just arrived this morning. So hopefully he is getting a chance to put that together and play with it. Zero Redux says, tell me a smaller claw is on the list, and you'll just have to wait and see. Cornercade is in the house, and Fourth Horseman has stopped by. Nice to see you both. Stock Jock is in the house, saying hello to chat. And of course, Jim, the Pacers fan, always nice to see you. And as always, my cock hurts, and says he posted his Attack from Mars dust cover picks. Very cool. A lot of talk in the community about some dust covers on their At Games Legends 4KP to protect those screens. So very interested to see what those look like. And of course, and lastly, we have our burger, who says, let's go. Ichabod Crane is in the house, and PD7, nice to see you guys. If you didn't catch his stream earlier, he was online playing with the community as he does every Saturday, this time taking on TMNT and defeating the forces of Shredder and Krang. And again, just want to say thanks for everybody dropping by. If I missed you, there's Kevin Clausen just dropped in. Feel free to drop into the super chat or into the chat, and I'll give you a shout out. Supervet Hobbit says, being seen a lot of complaints about the claw all over YouTube feeds. I'm hoping the second wave will fix these issues. Wishful thinking. So let's talk a little bit about some of those issues. Of course, in case any of you missed it, just a few days ago, I did a live stream where we built the claw machine, played with it for a little bit, tried to answer any questions we could. Definitely recommend checking that out if you are interested in seeing things up close and personal. But I've now had a few days to play with this thing, and more importantly, unleash my kids on it and see how they play with it. Of course, I have two kids that are 5 and under, and being able to see how they interact confirmed some of my issues with the machine, and then also reinforced some of the positive things I thought we would see about it. And first up, we have Kevin Clausen dropping a $2 super chat. Thank you you much. And he says, drop into the super chat. Yes. It's whatever. A misspeak, Freudian slip, however you want to do it. But let's let P-Dubs in on that one. All right, appreciate the super. And then Gamer Fridge is in the house, says, add fire to it. That would certainly fix some of the issues. Sergeant, thank you for dropping by. Nice to see you. Pega is crying, laughing, or maybe just crying. One Up isn't doing crap for us. The company is disappointing us. Indeed, they are. Tulsa Arcade says, already have had to reset it 3 times now after the kid's been on it. So that's interesting to hear, Tulsa. I have not had a single issue with mine from the mechanical stuff. Obviously, we've heard about people having issues when they first get it and not being able to move forward and back. And then on top of that, where it's either timing out or something going wrong and the claw won't go down. And you have to do that whole reset method, which again, I have another video on my channel on how to do that. But definitely seeing a lot of the frustrations. And so one of the first things I did the night I got it is I've heard that basically after playing with it for a bit and just leaving it on and not using it can cause that issue with the claw not dropping. Well, I left it on untouched for a couple hours. Maybe it's got to be longer than that, but a couple hours untouched did not affect that. So as of yet, I haven't experienced the issue with the claw dropping, but I will definitely report on that when I do. And we have a new member. So hat tip to Stock Jock. Thank you for being a new member. And right after he joined, he dropped 5 gifted memberships in the chat. So thank you, sir. Really appreciate. Click the wrong button. So very much appreciate that, Stock Jock. And just for those who may be wondering, of course, if you are a member to the channel, we do post some of the videos that we do early to members. So you'll get a sneak peek at those as well. And, congrats to all the people who got those memberships. It's I can't really see that on my screen. I also see Sergeant became a member, so thank you, sir. And let's see, scroll down, catch up here a little bit. Taco Tantrum, what is scam mode exactly? So scam mode is supposed to be the mode where essentially the claw should never pick anything up, meaning like if it tries, it'll just drop it. However, in my testing, scam mode picks it up every single time that you get it in place. So really, really not sure why scam mode does not work for me, but it is an interesting thing. And Jason dropped by. Thank you, Sir Jason, the moderator extraordinaire, dropping by. Says, imagine being on your honeymoon and the new wife says to you, don't touch me, I may break. Tell me you're not going to be like, what the fuck did I get married for? Yeah, that's how I feel about this claw machine. Very interesting. So let's talk about our first mod. And to do that, we are going to bring up a secondary camera here. And let's get a closer look. So one of the things you guys will notice, and I'll just give this kind of disclaimer up front, you'll see the flicker on the light on the claw machine. That is being caused by the camera. Obviously, the quality of LEDs in there is not at the same frame rate as the particular camera I have set up right now. But I wanted to show it anyway and not spend too much time on it. But we're going to go over there and we're going to do a mod, a simple mod, if you could call it that, to up the look and talk about some of the playability issues. So let's start there. Let me talk about 2 big issues. So the first, if you look at the balls, so these are the 10 of the 12 balls that come with the Arcade1up. They're plastic. I think they're like 6 inches wide, 4.5, 6 inches, something like that. I haven't measured them off the top of my head. They fit the claw perfectly. And that's why I think they chose that size. But what you'll notice is 2 of them are out. Only 10 are in there. And that's because the 2 are out are 2 that my kids had won and picked out. And that's, you can see with 10 in there, the inside is basically full. So those other 2 kind of sit up higher and were fairly easy for them to get out. But once you're down to 10, you'll notice that it's kind of pushed all the other ones to the sides, up against the sides, with really only 1 in the center over there on the right. You can see where those 6 are in a line and you have that pink one kind of in the middle. That's really about the only one you actually have any shot at picking up. And that is because the claw quite frankly, is too big for the machine. So as we talked about on my stream the other night, the play area for the prize area is only 16 inches deep on the big side. It's even less, obviously, on the side with the prize chute. But 16 inches is considerably smaller than the footprint of a traditional Arcade1up 3/4 scale cab, like the deluxe cabs or the old ones with the risers. However, it's right in line with the Slim Katie. So right away, they've clearly shortened the depth of this cab. And I wonder if in doing so, the original design was for a normal size Arcade1up cab, and so the claw may have made more sense. You probably would have had closer to 18 and a half inch area playfield. And so the larger claw may have had more opportunity to pick up the objects in there with those extra 2.5 inches. As is, by shrinking it down, now that claw is too big. It hits the sides, all four sides. That claw can bounce right up again against it, just in normal movement, not like swinging into it. It just can hit it, which for the front, for the plexiglass, that's super bad because it's going to start scratching that up over time. But it also means that all those objects around the edges are pretty much dead zoned, because as that claw goes down the wall, it's going to bounce. It's going to hit it, knock it over, bounce it out of the way, and it's going to be extremely hard to come down on those balls. So that is one of the biggest issues, in my opinion. The claw's oversized, and because these plastic balls are very hard, right? They're hard shells. They're not soft in any way, which you really wouldn't expect them to be, these balls. But I think they're cheap, and that's why they included them, to give you something. So one of the first things I would say, if you're going to do this, is replace those. Don't use those, or if you're going to use them very sparingly, because the fact that they don't give at all, like say a plush would, when that claw, that oversized claw comes down, and we'll go demo this here in a minute, when it comes down, there's no give. So if it hits any other claw, it's basically over. It's just going to stop there, may tilt a little bit, but you're not going to be able to get down in there. So essentially, it makes it very difficult to get anything out of this. And obviously, for little kids, they want to have some success. Their enjoyment is more about getting things out. In fact, that's one of the things I noticed from my kids right away. I went out and filled these things with like mystery prizes and things like that. And as my kids were winning them, they were wholly uninterested in what was inside of them. They just wanted to catch the things and put them back in and do it again. So they love just playing that. So I've had them down here a few days, every day for the past couple days, playing it. They're having a blast. They love to do it. And so let's go over there in just a second. Before we do, I'm going to read a couple of these chats. It says, yep, plus I've been doing research on the previous Donkey Kong games, came in the 90s and 80s, and recently in 2010. Let's see. Thanks for taking the sacrifice and showing us the machine. I'm set on getting a claw machine now, but I'm going to Marketplace. And for content, James, what age are your kids? So I have the two little kids are 5 and 3.5. So, 2, 5 and under, basically. And so it's the perfect height for them. It's usable height. It's a little low for an adult, but it's still very usable. It's not so low it's uncomfortable, but it's perfect for kids. It's just the right height. These are breaking news from retailers. They stand no chance on Marketplace, even if someone sells it to you for $350, no warranty, blah, blah, blah. So let's go take a look there. And I'm going to have to mute. I'm going to mute myself and then unmute over there because there's a different mic. But that mic, I'll tell you right now, I don't know how well you'll be able to hear me because it's just a crappy onboard mic to a webcam, because I didn't want to set up a bunch of stuff and tear it down. But hopefully you'll hear me fine. Let me know in chat if you cannot. Okay, hopefully, whoop. Okay, sorry about that. I left speakers on, so hopefully that didn't sound too bad. So let me know if you guys could drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. I'd really appreciate it. And we'll just get a little better view here. Okay, perfect. So first thing I'm going to do, I have the sound turned off on this because, again, the sound control is terrible. You have like really loud, kind of loud, and off. So the sound is wonky. One of the other big problems I have with this is there's no real timer. So while when you start it, it plays music that's trying to give you the urgency by speeding up the beats and the sounds, it's not actually counting down. There's no timer. And so you could just leave it sit there for 2 hours and it wouldn't do anything. But so that's a disappointment because part of the fun of a claw is the countdown, getting it in position so before you run out of time, right? But let's just demo this real quick so you can see in case you missed it the other day. To show you the problems I talked about this bouncing into the walls, we're going to try to get one of those that's back there against the wall, and should see it like just basically, now it's trapped on top of the ball, so it's not going to pick anything up. So pretty obvious there. And we'll come over here and get like this one. You'll see it really can't get this one because it'll get caught on the thing. And you'll notice like as it moves, it opens the claw up further, which is also problematic. Like it would be better if it kept it closed. So once again, we're hung up. Actually, that might pick up. Hey, I won something. There you go. So it did not drop out, but it can. But I think as you, over time, as these fall into that net, the net's like getting some give, and so it no longer just bounces out. But so now I can, I guess, probably have a little better shot at getting this one. We'll see. Nope, it moved. So you can kind of see the way these things move. This floor in here is just, one, it's ugly. Two, the way the balls move around because of it, they just kind of roll all over the place. It's not what I want. So the let's see, Israel says, James, where's the Arcade1up whack-a-mole machine of the Arcade1up? There you go. I would like to see you try and beat scam mode. Nice demonstration. So we've shown a couple of things. So now we're going to do, quote unquote, a mod. And I'm going to take these out because you see how these just roll around. So it makes them not as fun. Plus the thing is ugly. And it's going to take me a couple minutes to get this crap out of here, or a couple moments, I should say. All right, so first up is a technique that you'll see in many claw machines, and that is to take fish tank gravel. And so I have here just black because black will absorb light. And so one of the things I actually like about this claw machine is even though the light at the top in here is just a standard white LED, the way they printed that metallic backdrop really gives you that array of colors to light it up to make it seem like there's a lot more light effects going on than there is. And by changing our floor from this ugly blue and purple pattern that just is very bland to this black aquarium gravel should give it a really nice look that stands out. And so this is part one. And what this will do is not only give it a great look, it will allow us to place the capsules and other prizes in positions that ensure they're still kind of winnable, but still have a bit of a challenge. And so let's just do that real quick. I'll try to be careful. So each one of these bags, by the way, I just picked them up at Walmart. They're 5-pound bags, so you're not going to want to go crazy in here. It is just, half-inch MDF or whatever. So not sure how much weight it'll hold, but we're not looking to fill this thing up. I mean, we only have like an inch or so of space here on the right. So we're not going to get super deep with this stuff, nor should we need to. So we're just going to pour it in there. And so I'm not sure how many bags of this we would need. So I did pick up several. It looks like probably 3 will be about the right amount. Of course, it would probably be better if I moved this out a bit so that I could actually access the inside a bit. And then one more ought to do it, I think. The other thing you can do is if you build up this side a little bit, maybe put a little plexi here so you can get it deeper. You could layer it with different colors. But black seems to work the best. All right, then we'll just kind of mush that down, try to even it out a bit. We don't want to go too crazy because we don't want this gravel constantly falling out. So we're going to keep it nice and moved in there. So not bad to start off with. It does kind of look like kitty litter. Could use coffee beans. You could have just used marbles, so you could use marbles. My hockey game is commercial, and I saw this and was like, James doesn't have everything. James went psychotic. Okay. So next, we want to add some color, right? So that's all fine. That gives us that nice dark base. But now we want something that all that light in there is going to kind of bounce off of and give us some more festive look and more entertaining, I think, more interesting to look at. And so we've got these colored gems. So again, these are about $2 for a small bag of them. I don't know if you can see all those. And very cheap. Again, you can just buy them at Walmart. Same fish tank area, just kind of throw them in here. And they'll add that little bit of, upscale look to them. And then we also have, speaking of marbles, these, glass kind of beads. And we can just throw those in there, which will give it that, like gem or diamond color in with those other colors, giving us some reflective surfaces. So kind of just winged it, but you can spend more time. It's all going to get moved around over time anyway. So that's really something quick and easy. And now when we put this stuff in here, we can be sure that, you know, it's going to be in a place that's actually hittable. It's not going to move around. It's going to look more full even if it's got less stuff in it. So it should be a little more fun to play. So now as we go in here, we should be able to much more easily, you know, win some of these things and have a more fun experience than what it was where, you know, they're all bunched up, they're all rolling around. So you still got to be apparently better than I am at lining them up. But you get the idea. This will also let you, there we go, do things like, if I can open these are kind of difficult to open, I'll tell you that. So, you know, potentially you could just put, the door's open. Potentially just put like these things in here, right? And just lay them down. I don't know if you can see that. Let me move some things out of the way. So you can see I just got a, you know, this Disney thing in here. And we can go right over that. Now that in that other one, I think you'd have a hard time picking that up. But with this one now, we should be able to grab that pretty easily with the gravel and stuff. So now you can put a different variety of things in there that maybe you couldn't have done when you just had the base in there. And I'll throw these back in real quick. All right. So that was one quick, simple mod. Of course, you can see where the light is being picked up by those gems and then deadened by the black gravel. Makes it a little easier, and really in person, it pops a whole lot more than what it's doing kind of on this washed out camera. It's not the greatest of camera. Yeah, somebody's been practicing. It's the difference without having that whole thing filled where those balls can roll around and just keep you from, you know, between bouncing off the walls and things like that. It just creates a really bad experience for the player. I really don't, like I said, really don't. I think the claw is just a little too big for the cabinet. And by adding the gravel, adding this kinds of things, you're able to reduce the need for the balls, so you can get rid of the balls altogether. Use different items. Of course, plushes would make a lot more sense because they're more givable. And so let's talk about some of these other things you can do. And I'll remove this real quick and let's share. Share my screen. And how do we want to do this? Okay, so first up, I mentioned plushes are a great alternative. So here This was shared with us by a viewer who found this, who purchased these for his own claw machine, his Arcade1up Claw Machine. And it's a fairly decent price here. You get 10 of these Pac-Man plushes, licensed Pac-Man plushes for about $45, so just under $5 a piece. And variety colors. And these are the perfect size for those capsules. And since they're plushes, they're going to give a lot more than those capsules. So right around the right size if you're keeping that big claw. So look for prizes like these. I think they'll give your kids, if that's who this is for, like myself, a much better experience. Of course, the Pac-Mans themselves have the mouth, which gives the claw something extra to grasp onto, leaving the challenge for some of the ghosts. But there's a variety of things you can purchase. I just wanted to show these on eBay. That is one source where you can find claw machine prizes for a decent rate. Another is AliExpress. Uh, and there are other sites that specialize in just plushes for claw machines. Super expensive, in my opinion. Like they make you buy like 300 at a time, and or 150 at a time. So you're going to be paying anywhere from 250 to 350 for those prizes. But you go to eBay, you go to AliExpress, you can find some things that well under $100. Some in the range of less than $5. Like, for example, on AliExpress, you can get a 10 pack of 4.5 to 6 inch size um, of the aliens from the Toy Story that lived in the claw machine. You can get several of them that are, in different poses and have different things with them for like next to nothing if it's your first time order on AliExpress. With the blue bottom, you could also place the small duckies in there to help with the balls not moving. Yeah, and actually, we'll talk about the duckies here in a minute because they will work well with one of the other mod suggestions I have. You won't need capsules for those plushies. They look nice. Absolutely. And that's the point, is you want to get the capsules out of there, in my opinion. The capsules are fine. It's clearly a choice that they were able to buy those probably for $2 for 12 of them or less. And it gave them something to throw in there. The first thing I would do is get rid of those. You don't need them unless you're just going to put candy in them. If I would suggest, if you're going to use them sparingly, put other things in there as well so they don't dominate. You can, of course, go to like Target and get squish balls, even the nubbed inflatable squish balls. I think they're going to cost you a little, like $2 a piece, $1.99 a piece. Those are great for in there because they compress and they have the nubs so they don't hurt when you beam each other with them. So your kids won't hurt each other. Awesome prizes for a claw, pack people, and assorted ghosts. Absolutely. And of course, keeps the arcade theme. What a coincidence. That's how many Pac-Mans came out. Yeah, that's how many came out this year from Arcade1up. Okay, in all seriousness. So the next thing, this is the first thing I am probably going to do. I'm going to put this probably at a skill level, a moderate skill level. You're going to need to feel comfortable doing some wiring. But it is something I think anybody can do if they watch a few videos and things like that. And that is not that one, this one. So, of course, what we're talking about here is replacing the claw itself. And anyway, I don't know why it's not letting me make it bigger. But as you can see here, I probably picked a bad claw to show. This company has you can find these all over AliExpress and they're cheap. Like you can see here, this is like $13, but you can get them in different sizes. So there's mini is going to be like what you want for your ducks, those miniature ducks that were just mentioned by, I can't remember who mentioned it. Was it was Stupid Fat Hobbit, right? So you want the mini claw, is going to be great for ducks, great for grabbing handfuls of candy, though there are also claws that have plastic scoops on them that are are better for the scoops of candy, and of course, same place you can get them. But what you'll notice is as we go through these is they are almost identical to the Arcade1up one. Not the specific grabbers on this brand, but you'll see the cord, the wiring, same thing. Even the yellow nylon, while Arcade1up is black, it's using a black nylon. So same mechanism will be able to raise and lower these claw machines are these claws. And so it should be very simple replacement of disconnecting the existing claw, uh, you know, through the code that you can use to wind and unwind it. You unwind it, disconnect it from the spool mechanism, run the new nylon in so that it's at the right height that you want, then wind it back up, and of course wire in the new claw. So it should be a fairly simple change, not having to do too much. And so my plan is to order the small size, which should be I believe about 4.5 inches. I think if you look at Arcade1up's claw when it's fully opened, it's a 6-inch claw wingspan, which is just a little too big. 4.5, I think, would be just the right amount. It will help you avoid banging into that plexi when it's fully expanded. It still let you pick up decent size um, prizes and a variety of different prizes, but it's something to experiment with, right? And it depends on what you want to pick up out of it. If you want to do candy, I would switch to one of those plastic ones that has the 3 scoops on it, so it's pretty much guaranteed to get in there and pull a handful of candy out. But wanted to show those because that is another mod is kind of at the top of my list to do because of the size of this claw just being too big for that play field. Of course, I would love for that prize area to be bigger, but that's a much bigger project than, say, just replacing that claw and stepping it down a bit. So the next thing, this is where we get into a much higher level of difficulty, but still shouldn't be too difficult, but it's going to require you to do some wiring. It's going to require you to do some cutting, some drilling. So, you need to be comfortable with those kinds of tasks, but it's going to fix a lot of the problems I have with this claw machine. Of course, the first problem I have, aside from let me say, so I'll call it the second problem, because the first is the size of the claw and the way it bangs against everything makes it difficult to pick up if that's full of those capsules that it comes with. The second, and probably one of the more annoying, is there's no start mechanism. So when you want to play, you just walk up to it and start moving it. And the act of moving it will kick in the music that makes you think there's a timer, but there's really not. And so there's no start button, not at all, nowhere on this thing. It just moves at will. And so I want to fix that. I want some sort of start mechanism, whether that is a coin mech or a button or something like that. The next problem I have is there's no timer. Once you start it, even though it plays music like there's a timer, there's no timer. So you can move that thing around till your heart's content, until it's perfectly positioned, and then hit the button. Well, that's not how a claw should work. It should be a challenge. You should have to get it where you want it in, a very short amount of time, so that there's a challenge to it, right? Like, that's some of the challenge, not just hoping that it grabs your item, but you need challenge to make sure that you're moving quickly. And so we want to add a timer function. And of course, if we're going to have a timer function, we need a screen that is going to tell us how much time we have. So that is kind of what I'm getting at. We need to add some way to start it, and we need to have some way to keep time and to see how much time we have. So that brings us to the next mod that I'm looking at. And I'm probably going to try this after I try just the claw. But again, AliExpress is a good source for this, though. Know that there are many other vendors for this kind of stuff, including domestic vendors. So I just pointed AliExpress because they have pre-built package for kits that are already out there. And of course, if you're comfortable around wood, like if you're GI Joel, here's everything you need, right? Everything you need right here to build your own claw. All you need is the wood and the glass and the prizes. This kit comes with everything. It comes with the motor, the rails, the claw, and you'll notice a lot of this looks very identical to what's in Arcade1up's. Of course, this is upside down, but and I swear I found some that were literally like identical components to Arcade1up's in there, same connections and everything. So this thing comes with speakers. It comes with the joystick with that same bubbled crystal ball. Comes with the button to drop the claw. Of course, here's our countdown LCD, all our PCBs, all of our wiring, the lights, power supply, the voltage meter. So that's how real claw machines are calibrated, is the voltage that you're sending to the motors and the other components. And so you had the on off button. So a lot of the stuff we won't need. I just showed this as the fact that you could get a whole kit. And of course, here's a coin mech that comes in this kit for 126. There's kits as low as 115 that I found that come with everything. But it seems very standardized. Like this board has much of the same connections the Arcade1up one has. So a little more research into it, but I wanted to show you this because this would be the next level, right? We want to add that LCD screen. We want to add that timer. We want to add the start mechanism, whether that's the coin mech or just a button, all of those things. And I would say we want more control over our claw. So when it comes to quote unquote scam mode, normal mode, easy mode, I'm having a hard time telling the difference. They seem to all work about the same. And so if we want those functions to really make this a more authentic claw experience, of course, nothing's going to replace a real commercial grade. But for around $100, you can definitely up this from what is essentially a toy from Arcade1up to more of a hobbyist claw, right? One you're building and tweaking on your own. It'll be cheaper and easier for you to get replacement components. There's probably far more support around something like this than, say, the Arcade1up one. But there you go. So this would be the next thing that I'm looking at myself doing. Depends like how well, I think, with a different size claw and some of the other things I plan on doing, how much they fix that. But for me, the lack of timer, the lack of a start button is a huge problem. So I want to fix those things really more than anything. And yeah, it's consoles kits arch enemy, the claw kits, indeed. So next up, and kind of the more obvious ones we've all talked about, is the design itself. Of course, this thing is pretty ugly in my opinion. Let's bring it back up. I'll pull this down, add this back up. That design is pretty crappy. As you're looking at the there we go. Where's my hand? Woohoo! Yep. So this hand. So as you're looking at the marquee over here, the marquee is simply a piece of Mylar. It's a reverse printed Mylar sandwiched between two 16th-inch plexiglass. So super, super easy to change. In fact, it's not even bolted in. You can walk over there, slide that right out. You can unclip the top of it, pull the Mylar out, and go get another one and slide it in there. And that'll immediately change the title and everything on your claw machine. And so I show this because I wanted to show that not just like Joe Zabos and some of these other guys make graphics. You can literally go to eBay and you can find Mylar marquees for any arcade game you want, including your own custom art from people. And they're pretty damn good quality. I can tell you, I followed this methodology in building my Akari Warriors cab. because I wanted that Dynamo HS5 to be able to be used for all different kinds of games, not just be Akari Wars permanently, and to keep the cost down. So I went out and purchased a Mylar marquee. I asked the person to get it in the exact size I wanted. So I measured the existing marquee. And then I used the two smaller, thinner pieces of plexi to sandwich it in there, and it works perfect. So, same methodology they used for the claw machine. So, if you have a particular game you want to put in there, you could just hop on eBay, find one of, here's 3,000 plus arcade marquees sitting on eBay right now. And these are all pretty much ready to ship. So many are sold in a variety of sizes already. Others let you pick the size, and you can even customize it for exact size specifications depending on who you're going through. And you can see you can get these down below $20, and I'm telling you, they're good quality. They're not like the crappy ones that Arcade1up used to give us. So they still look good on the machine. That's a cheap, easy way to do it. Of course, you could work with one of these vendors or another one to design your own look and feel. But I just wanted to show this is that you don't have to. You could actually go take an existing IP and find a variety of marquees to throw in there and make it look infinitely better than the one that just says Arcade1up Claw Machine, which to me is not at all very exciting in any way. So that's kind of really it. Some of the other things that I'm thinking about doing, and I've talked about this before, is adding a lot more LED lighting. So kind of using rope lights and other lights to trace some of the designs on the front to really make it pop. Maybe going down the silver parts on the front, on the left and right side to put LEDs there. Then you could have like a tracing pattern going up and down that really would give it all kinds of crazy attract mode and add to that lighting. Those are ones that are really easy to do. You could plug right in and you're off to the races. You don't have to do a lot. Um, Replacing the marquee in the 1960s shower curtain background could do wonders in making this thing somewhat presentable in your game room. Yeah, so I honestly I like the background that's on there because of that design. It does kind of make it look like a shower curtain. But that metallic design, of course, gives you that array of colors. You replace that with something else, you just have a white LED strip at the top. You'd have to change that all out as well. But yeah, a Spaceballs, the claw machine would be hilarious. Princess Bride one, of course, the pizza rocket or whatever it is from Toy Story. There's all kinds of great options because quite frankly, the black and blue of Arcade1up does not seem very festive for a claw machine. You've seen there's claw machines called Little Diamonds. You could do that. You could do a whole bunch of things, and I'm sure you can find exactly claw machine marquees out there on eBay. In fact, let me do that real quick. See if there's anything of the sorts out there. Yeah, so yeah, I'll show that real quick. There's not a whole lot. There's the gobbler. um there's a real claw machine, just $4,000, right? Inner space. Like there's a few out here, but most of these are just cheapy claw machines or big expensive real ones. Um, the claw, here's one, little expensive. Some of these are going to be real header marquees, not necessarily claw machine ones, but variety of stuff out there just to give you ideas of what you can do from that standpoint. Is Uh-oh. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the Chiefs are undefeated and the Broncos have lost what, 4 games, so not surprised. Will be interesting, just the same. You know, we only beat the Chiefs for the first time in a long time last year, so it'll be interesting to see if they come for this game. Of course, it's at Arrowhead tomorrow at noon, so I am interested, but I don't hold out a lot of hope, but miracles happen any given Sunday, right? Uh, but of course, the other thing is going to like Joe Sabo's or Buy Stuff Arcades or one of these other guys, have them make you the marquee, have them make you the graphics for the sides and the front. Definitely gonna up the appeal of this thing quite a bit because, like I said, that blue and black checker pattern just isn't all that exciting. Tell you, my kids don't really care; they just love playing it. So take that for what it is. But I want it to look more at home in the arcade, and that design really doesn't do that. Uh, so the next thing was risers, right? I've had lots of questions about can you just throw a riser on this from an existing Arcade1up? And while it may technically work, this is essentially a slim Katie, right? It is a smaller depth form factor. So it's not going to fit nice and snug like a typical riser would. I think also the standard Arcade1up riser is probably too tall. It's going to lift that control panel up above countertop height. So you're going to get it a little higher than it should be. I would think the max you would want on a riser for this thing is 4 inches. Any higher, it's going to be way too hard for kids. You don't want your kids to have to sit on a stool or a countertop chair just to play this thing. And so for me, the riser's probably going to be out because of the kids. It's the perfect height for the kids. But if your kids are 10 or 12, um, uh, you know, then maybe a 4-inch riser makes more sense. And so look for guys like the wonderful G.I. Joel, hopefully producing something. I know he would need to get measurements and things like that. So there's no guarantee he will even offer one. And of course, I'm happy to volunteer to collect any of the measurements he needs. So if any of you are interested in getting one, feel free to ping G.I. Joel. And if Jason or Corner K can drop a link to his channel in the chat, you can find more information out there. Of course, the Cornercade loves G.I. Joe's risers, puts them on all of those classic Arcade1up cabs because they give it that deluxe design. So they're riserless. You can't really see the riser. They meld into the cabinet. You can extend the graphics down. They are an amazing product. So I definitely recommend going and looking at what G.I. Joel is doing on that front. And of course, G.I. Joel is part of Arcades Anonymous. So definitely check them out as well. But yeah, so that would be the other obvious mod that's out there that I know a lot of people are interested in. And of course, the ultimate mod would be to buy a real one, not an Arcade1up one. But again, for what this is for me, which is primarily for my kids, this is perfect. Doing a lot of these mods, replacing the claws, fairly inexpensive. So not going to run up the price a lot, but buying that kit right now, suddenly you're adding $150 onto it. You got to do a lot of extra work to make it work, make that kit work. So suddenly you're driving the price up. And once you start hitting the 750 and up range, it's cheaper to buy a working one off of Facebook or some other place because really a working one is going to cost you around $800 for a real commercial grade working one. Anything less than that is probably going to have something wrong with it. So, now you're introducing more problems and more expense to get it fixed. But generally around 750, 800 and up, they're fully working. And so, you got to do what's best for your budget, if you're wanting one of these. Otherwise, I think this is a solid machine. It's definitely got its flaws. We've talked ad nauseum tonight about the flaws. We showed them to you when we could in that last video. So it's not all peaches and cream. It's not the greatest thing. There is a lot of people having mechanical issues right out of the gate Fortunately, I have avoided those, but I've only had mine for, since Thursday. So not much time. We're only at Saturday, 2 full days, right? So, um, you know, I got a few more days for it to start breaking, and I'll certainly update when that happens, if it happens. But so be wary, right? If you haven't purchased one yet, you may want to take a wait and see attitude because um, there's no telling if they'll have a version 2 or 1.1 where some of these issues are fixed. Does have a warranty. And of course, actually, that is very interesting, Kevin. I just realized, I'll have to look at the back of the claw. Um, because the other arcade one ups, right? Because they have a screen, they immediately tell you to go register, get all that. And I don't recall seeing serial numbers and things like that. I'm sure they're on that back panel and I just didn't pay enough attention to. But when you're talking about registering the claw for the app and things like that, I wonder if it's even in the app to get that extended warranty or not. I just didn't pay any attention. So I actually really appreciate the question, Kevin. I might as well go answer that right now, right? Why leave that dangling? I'm going to go look at the claw real quick, see if it's got at least the serial number and stuff on the back for registering it. But you do get that warranty straight out. It's in the package. It shows some of that. Okay, so yeah, there's definitely the sticker, the same sticker that is on the arcades. It makes sense. The same little barcode is definitely on the back. I don't think it's exactly the same. I think there's only one row of numbers instead of two, but it is on there. So presumably you can add it to the app um, and register it that way. So I'll probably do that as soon as the show is over, just to make sure that all goes through normally, like you would expect. And actually, there's no claw machine in the list of arcades, so it doesn't look like you can actually add it to the app just yet, or if at all. So again, another great question, Kevin, because that's important. So does not look like you can add the claw machine yet to the app to show you own it or to get that extension on the warranty. So very, very, very interesting. Hopefully, Arcade1up has some sort of update coming to the app, but who knows? They haven't really updated it in a long time that I've seen, so who knows? But I think that's really kind of all I got for you. I know it's probably not at 10 or it's around 10 with all the different components of the kit and things like that, because you can actually order each of those independent. The challenge with ordering things like, say, the coin mech independent, that one may be a little easier to deal with, but say the screen and the timer, you're probably going to need a new PCB for all that. So now you start adding in more and more components that you're going to need. So starting with the kit just gives you all of that, and I think makes the overall project easier because you're probably just going to strip all the Arcade1up stuff out and use the components from your kit and just forget all the Arcade1up pieces. Keep the shell, keep the other things, but get rid of all that other stuff. Um, Not on the website yet. One Up is about to pull an Ashton Kutcher and leave for Europe with the heat coming around the corner. Um, but so there you go on that. Let's see. It says maybe you need to place a fan inside the claw. It worked for the One Up VPN PCBs. Actually, I heard like you were supposed to microwave the VPN PCBs, right? And that made the solders melt back into place or something. Pretty weird stuff. I would never recommend microwaving a PCB, but people were doing it, so who knows? But that's all I have for you. Unless you guys have any other questions about this thing right now, again, I wanted to show one quick, simple thing you can do to up the look and playability of the claw machine. Of course, now when you go out, you may pay attention and see lots of claws do this same technique with throwing the aquarium gravel and the little glass beads and jewels in there just to give it some pop and pizzazz. Makes it easy if you're going to put like, you know, higher end things or odd shaped things. You can actually jam them into that gravel so they stand straight up and down. Of course, we've given another tip on that previously. Like if you got something that's a small box, it's hard for those claws to grasp around them and pick them up. That may be what you want if you want to make it difficult, or to add a little bit of ease to it, you can put rubber bands around the box, and then the claws will snag the rubber bands or grab onto the rubber band itself and lift the box out. So just some ideas of what you can do with this thing. And I hope you guys appreciated seeing some of this, or it spurred some interest in you one way or the other, or convinced you not to buy this thing if that's the case. But I wanted to show, with all the issues, all the good things, it's a mixed bag with this for sure. It's a little short for adults, like most Arcade1ups are. Perfect size for the smaller children that really love this thing. Again, they are happy with it as it is. But I think this will just make them more happy, because it'll make it a little easier for them to win prizes by having it, so they don't just roll all over the place. And um, you know, you can see countless videos of kids just playing the hell out of this thing. So, from the terms of what I wanted it for, which was to scratch that itch of having a claw machine in my arcade and to expose my kids to something I know that they will enjoy, that I don't have to go to an arcade and pay, $1.50 every play, and they can just sit down here and play till their heart's content. uh, it is awesome. So for me, it filled a much needed gap, I think. And I know it's not for everybody, but I'm happy with the purchase. I'm happy with how it's working. I just think it can be better. And it, that said, that is given that I haven't had the issues yet other people have had with the thing breaking. So I reserve the right to come back, in a few days or a week and say, hey, yeah, this is annoying. This thing just keeps breaking. So I've seen people that have had it break once and never had it do it again. I've seen plenty of people that have had no issues. And then I've seen people like Tulsa Arcades mentioned in the chat where they've had to reset it several times. And so that's problematic, right? The more time goes on, the more of these get out there. And another batch, showed up about a week ago. More of these are going to start showing up, and we're going to hear more and more people, uh, whether having success or complaining about these. And it'll be interesting to see how many of these go from casual people that bought these things for their kids' playroom, or just to throw in their basement, into, hey, now we want other arcades. Given that it seems like Arcade1up is dead set on not making any real new arcades that we're interested in. So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I will say the one thing this claw has shown me is that I think our entire future, and I know Cornercade has said this a lot, is that for Arcade1up, these Slim Katie designs, this thinner, less deep design, is what they're going to produce for the time being. And I don't know how I feel about that. So makes me more and more interested in competitors coming along and giving us what we want, because it really seems like Arcade1up has zero interest in the current fan base, right? I just don't know what they're thinking. Maybe we'll get the 1XL a year that we like, but man, they missed straight out the second year of this Costco exclusive XL thing. They already had a huge miss for the hardcores, but for the casuals, it sold like crazy. So, are we in for more of those? And so we're in for thinner arcades that we don't of the same 3 or 4 PCBs and a bunch of multicade XLs that we don't really want. Boy, if that's so, we desperately need competition. And as if we didn't already, we need even more. So that again, all I have for you tonight. I'm going to quit rambling and send everybody on their way. I can't appreciate you enough for dropping by, spending the last hour with me as we go through this machine a little more in depth than the unboxing. And now that I've had some time to spend with it. And so, till next time, have fun.